Welcome to Newsmakers. My name is Sean Smith. I'm the Assistant Director of Community Relations for Chesterfield County Public Schools. Joining us today, the Superintendent, Dr. Marcus Newsome. Welcome to you, Dr. Newsome.
Thank you.
We're going to talk today about a unique perspective. It's the Chesterfield voters have on their ballots this fall 3 referendum questions. There's an education question, which we'll talk more about ourselves. 2 other questions, one dealing with $49 million in bonds to replace the county's emergency communication system, and a third question dealing with a proposal for an increase of 2% meals tax to fund those 2 questions. But let's focus on the education question. Tell us about what is on that ballot referendum.
Yeah, well, in the fall, voters will be asked to vote on the question regarding the revitalization of our schools. 10 schools are up for revitalization. Those schools are, let's see if I can remember them, Beulah, Crestwood, Enon, Ettrick, then Reims and Harrogate. And then we have 2 middle schools, Providence and Manchester, and then 1 high school, which is Monacan High School, which is the only high school that has not been newly built or renovated.
And also Matoka Elementary is another school.
I did miss Matoka, yes.
There, and we talk about revitalization. Share the views a little about what that term means in the sense of these referendums.
Yes, well, in terms of the 10 schools, we're looking at life systems, mechanical systems, plumbing, electricity, lighting, heating, air conditioning. We're looking at site improvements, bus loops, student drop-offs, fields, and things of that nature. We also are looking at the technology improvements and compliance with ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act, to make sure that all of our schools are up to standard. We've built a lot of new schools over the years. Now it's time for us to revitalize some of our older buildings.
When you talk about the older buildings, it's unique to think about some of the ages of some of the facilities in the
Yes.
county, and there are some tremendous needs there. But talk a little about the age of facilities and also tell us about how the schools in these referendums were chosen.
Yeah. Well, I think the average age of the elementary schools are about 62 years old, and the average age of the 2 middle schools, I think, is about 47 years old. Monacan is 34 years old. And this was a very public process. The county comprehensive plan establishes revitalization as one of its priorities. We had an assessment done on all of our schools, and so these schools are ranked from top to bottom based on the greatest need for improvement. There's also a question for 1 new school, which is would relieve overcrowding at Watkins Elementary.
And that deals with Watkins and Betty Weaver. And you think about some of the needs there. One of the biggest questions folks will ask is, what sort of timeline are you looking at? And then for some of those schools, how do you adapt when there's construction on site and having an ongoing learning environment?
Well, fortunately, our students and our staff are able to adapt. We've been doing construction for years in our school system, and so we adjust to that. If approved, then these projects will begin immediately, and there's a 7-year period, and the last project will begin in 2020.
And obviously for the community out there, we talk a lot about community investment in Chesterfield schools and certainly on this program. Talk about some of the ways that the community does use its schools, especially for those folks out there who might not have a direct connection to the school division.
Yeah, our schools are used just about every day throughout the course of the year. Our community can apply. Our buildings are open on Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. We have our Parks and Recreation Department. Most of our schools are used for churches, civic organizations, homeowners associations, and so a variety of uses in our buildings.
And we're here today to share information. We're not here to advocate for or against the referendum.
That's right.
But if someone's out there watching the segment, what can they do to get more information?
Yeah, well, there's a website, yourvoicefirstchoice.com, that provides comprehensive information about the referendum. And we also have staff like yourself. You've been out to speak to a number of communities, and so they can go to our website and see how they can get information on how to get staff out to come to their communities.
Thanks so much for being here, and we look forward to having you back again. And thanks to our viewers. Please join us next time. More about Chesterfield County Public Schools.